What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Neeks Sports. This is your match preview for Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, the first game of our Premier League season. The season has begun, or will begin, for Manchester United. Of course, we know the Premier League itself started last week for the majority of clubs, Man United and Manchester City, both who were in action late into the season, late into the month of August, because they got deep into the Champions League and Europa League respectively, and our season starting late. So we've got a bit of a catch up on some of the teams that got their wins, the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, not Spurs. Spurs did not get their win, but yes, we still got a bit of catch up. 3 points behind, obviously, with the first game in hand. But we're playing at 5:30 tomorrow before, I think, all the other rivals I spoke about play. Arsenal playing later that day. Then we've got matches like Chelsea and Liverpool on the Sunday. And I can't remember what day Man City's playing, but that's neither here nor there. Before we get into the match preview, I want to talk about Solskjaer's press conference. He had a press conference today, obviously talking about the match, and of course he's going to be asked, as he was asked, about different aspects around Man United in terms of the transfer market, what's happened with some of their players, Greenwood, Maguire on holiday, etc., on the international break. And in terms of transfers, now, we know that Jadon Sancho is a big target. Solskjaer's biggest target this summer, his main target. He gave that list to the board all those months ago and said, he's my main target. Of course, we need to strengthen here, we need to strengthen there, but Jadon Sancho is my main target. We are just over 24 hours before our season actually starts, and we've only signed one player. We have only signed Donny van de Beek. And I say only, not in disrespect to Donny van de Beek, because he is a quality player, and I think he will improve our team massively. He gives us strength and depth, but also reinforcements for our starting lineup. The issue is, Jadon Sancho is Solskjaer's first target, and we haven't got him. And we've only got the one. So, of course, there's a lot of discontent around Manchester United in terms of the fans. We've seen on social media, and rightly so. And Solskjaer was asked about it, and he said basically that the fans are right, and he understands why they would feel, frustrated, because they want what's best for the club. They want to see the best players on show for Manchester United. And you have to say, as it stands, he has not been given the tools that he requires to give the fans what they want, the best players on show to Manchester United, and therefore Manchester United to produce the level of football that we've been crying out for years. So I'm frustrated. Man United fans are so frustrated, and I'm without a shadow of a doubt that Solskjaer is frustrated. Solskjaer said, we're still working on, the important thing is that we develop the players that we've got so they can perform at a higher level, but also to bring in reinforcements, bring in players to push us on. But what he actually said, and I'm going to get the exact quote up just now, because I don't want to misquote him. So he said, we understand to get further, we need to develop what we've got and strengthen the team. But let's wait and see if we manage to bring anyone in. I've been in dialogue with the club. We're always managing. And let's see if we can bring anyone in. What he actually said, because he said, let's see. But he actually had a little bit of slip of the tongue. He said, hopefully, let's see if we can bring anyone in. So he's frustrated. He is hoping that the club can get this deal done. It's not a matter of, well, if we do, we get him. If we don't, but I think he went to the press conference knowing what questions, of course, he was going to get. And he had certain answers structured, and rightly so. But the slip of the tongue by saying, hopefully, that it's not as simple as, let's see. It's me personally, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I need reinforcements. And that reinforcement, more than anyone else, is Jadon Sancho. We're seeing today that Gareth Bale and Sergio Reguilon have landed in England. I think Gareth Bale just arrived at Tottenham Hotspur training ground. He's going to complete his signing within a matter of hours. Sergio Reguilon is also going to complete Arsenal-made transfers. Thiago set to join Liverpool possibly today. Man City, they haven't been great in the market. We know they're still in talks for a defender, whether it's Koulibaly, Gimenez, or anyone else. but of course they've signed Ake and they've signed Ferran Torres. Chelsea have done an absolute madness, and we've only signed one player. We've only signed one player, and it's not good enough. And I fully understand the frustration from all the fans and the frustration from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And if he doesn't get the players that he wants and the players that he deserves, I hope the fans, when things inevitably go wrong because we don't have the squad to compete on the level that we want to, you know where to direct the anger. The same anger that you're directing now at the board, at the Glazers, that anger needs to be replicated when things go wrong. And I'm not saying if we lose to Crystal Palace, it's Ed Woodward's fault or it's the Glazers' fault. No, the players and the managers take responsibility. But if we see ourselves, dropping out of competitions, getting fatigued, lack of rotation, etc., etc., we know where that should be blamed. You can't say, oh, Solskjaer, why are you overplaying this person? Why are you overplaying that person? When we know that the quality in depth is not there. So you want him to end up having playing Jesse Lingard and Andreas Pereira and Phil Jones. But then when the results go bad, you're still going to blame him. Why did he play? So we just need to remember this time. Remember this moment and what we're saying and who's at fault. For when it goes wrong, we need to remember. We need to remember. 40 Live says in the comments, it's very likely United will sign one more player in the rest of the window. Well, you know what? Donny van de Beek and Jadon Sancho will be a decent window. We know we need a defender. We know we need a centre-back, and we probably need a backup left-back, whether they're much greater than Shaw or just enough greater and you have Shaw as the right left-back. We need another left-back, but more importantly, with the centre-back. Centre-back's not happening this summer. We know that Koulibaly's not in our price range and in our plans in terms of the age and profile of the player. Upamecano is looking like it's going to be next summer that he leaves. Badiashile, that one's gone very quiet. So we're not going to get centre-back. I've ruled that out already. Centre-back ain't coming. We had put Gabriel on hold. We said, listen, just give us a second and we'll get back to you. Maybe we're focusing on Van der Beek. We're focusing on Sancho. Arsenal said, all right, we'll give you a little bit more. Come now. And he went there. So that's already out of the way. The centre-back ain't coming. Reguilon's gone to Spurs. There's been talk about Telles. I don't know 100% if that is just talk because Reguilon's gone and it looks like... The thing is, we weren't even really in for a left-back. If we're honest, we wasn't really in for a left-back. We were offered a left-back by Real Madrid. Real Madrid were trying to get rid of Reguilon for him to get experience out at a high level, and he was offered to us. That deal didn't happen. So I'm not sure how strong or how as a priority the left-back signing was. Centre-back definitely. Central midfielder, we got that in Van der Beek, who's a very multifaceted central midfielder, so that helps. And of course, Jadon Sancho. I do believe the Jadon Sancho deal will happen. I really, really do. But it's just sooner than later, please. Just sooner rather than later. If, God forbid, we get a poor result on Saturday, it's going to be complete anarchy in the Man United fan base. Absolute anarchy. Hala Madrid says, Woodward greater than Perez, be grateful. It's a tough one. I'll tell you why. Because Perez has ultimate control. Perez is the president, if I'm correct. He has ultimate control. Woodward doesn't have ultimate control. The Glazers have ultimate control. So Woodward is doing their bidding, but he can't. There's many decisions. Of course, there's decisions that he can veto, but there's many decisions, like, for example, transfer budget. That's not in his control. Who we actually sign, whether we sign it off within the budget that Joe Glazer, etc., give Manchester United, yes, that's under his control. Perez, he said Wood was greater than Perez, but Real Madrid have been very successful. They've been very successful, and maybe the style of his presidency and how he runs the club may not be liked, but it gets trophies. It's very similar to Abramovich in the sense that they may sack managers left, right, and center, and fans will be like, no, we want to build for the future. This manager had promise, etc., etc. But it gets trophies, it gets success. Maybe they're going in another direction now with Lampard, but the amount of money they spent just in the summer, I'll be very surprised if he moves from that model in terms of if you don't get success after I spend so much money, we're getting rid. So Lampard's going to be under pressure, but this isn't about him. Rodney says, I want the anarchy, Neeks, please. Of course you do. Arsenal fan, of course you want the anarchy. I just need a player through the door. Yes, another player through the door. Let me not disrespect Van der Beek. Another player through the door. We get Jadon Sancho, the mood will lift. The mood will lift 100%. Liverpool fans, Liverpool and Man United are not in the same position. But this summer, Liverpool fans and Man United fans have both been very frustrated by the dealings of the owners, FSG, the Glazers. Liverpool are about to sign Thiago. You're seeing everything changes. The mood is much higher among all Liverpool fans, despite their poor performance. Nonetheless, they got the victory against Leeds. The mood is higher. If we get Jadon Sancho, the mood will be lifted. And it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. And the Glazers still need to go. But the mood will be lifted. And we want to go into the season highest spirits as possible. For Troll, if United fail to get Sancho this window, he's bound to replace either Salah or Mane in the summer. I do fear if we don't get him this summer, we may not get him at all. There's going to be more players, more clubs, so I say, in the market. Of course, yeah, there's going to be Mbappe possibly. He's also going to be on the market. We don't know what's happening with Ousmane Dembele. If COVID, in terms of the lockdowns and restrictions, if that kind of relaxes, there's going to be more money available. If it doesn't, if there happens to be another pause in the season, then we may be in the same situation. It may just be Man United going for these players. We don't know. But Sancho wants to come. We need to get this done. Bruno Fernandes, we didn't get it last summer. We got him in January. Of course, there's still another possibility. But if it goes into next summer, he may be saying, you know what, Man United, you missed your chance. I wanted to come, but you missed your chance. So we need to get this done this summer. And I'm still confident that we will, because I don't believe that the Glazers feel that we can go into this summer, into this season, with just one new signing, one major signing in Donny van der Beek. I don't believe it. They must know they cannot fluff this up. They must. Surely they can't risk dragging this on into January and then next season at the hope that you may get him at a cheaper price, by the risk that other players, other teams are going to be in the market. Because if his price drops because he's got 1 year less on his contract, granted it's still 2 years, then it brings other teams into the market. If he has a great Euros, his price may even go up. Does that rule you out now? Like, you could have got him a year, like Maguire. We could have got Maguire a year before for probably 20 million less than we actually did. We cannot afford to let this one go. But moving on, as the title is more about the match against Crystal Palace. I think, as I said, start of the season, we need to get off to a win. We need to get 3 points in the bag early doors. I think that just lifts all the spirits around Manchester United, even just for 90 minutes or so. If there's going to be talk, etc., about players, Greenwood, Maguire, are they mentally there? Pogba, does he want to be here? There's always going to be that talk around Manchester United. And I think 3 points settles that down. Everyone is just, all right, good start to the season. I don't know if the League Cup starts straight away. For us, midweek, I'm not 100% sure, or the schedule, but maybe you get another week to say, all right, we've got another week, can think about transfers again, and then we go again for the second game. But we just need to get off to 3 points. Make sure that we're not playing catch-up from the outset. That would be disastrous, absolutely disastrous. 40 Troll says, Easy and Zaha are going to be a problem. Of course, Zaha, we know, is going to be a problem. He's always a problem for most teams, to be honest. He's a very, very tricky player. I said easy, but it's not easy. Is it Eze? I think it's Eze. He actually did a video on when he got signed saying how to pronounce his name. I believe it's Eze. But I trust Man United. It's Man United at home. The way that we finished the season, just blitzing teams early doors. And of course, yes, we know that there was a issue in terms of fatigue at the end of the season and we tailed off. But these players have had a bit of a rest. Not a massive one, but we've had a bit of a rest. And I think that would be enough to get us 3 points. And I'm really talking 3 comfortable points. Yeah, we didn't beat Aston Villa in the preseason, blah, blah, whatever. The team we put out there was a bit of a joke. That if we play that team against Crystal Palace, yeah, we're not going to win. I agree. We're not going to win. But we put out the likes of Van der Beek. He spoke about Pogba and Luke Shaw being available in his press conference. I don't see any reason why we should not be beating Crystal Palace. I really don't. Yeah, Zaha will be a problem, but we've got Rashford, we've got Martial, we've got Greenwood, we've got Bruno, Pogba, Van der Beek, Matic, Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw. Like, man for man, our team is far superior. Roddy says, did you trust United at home against Palace last year? I did. And we lost. What can I say? I trusted them. Just because we lost to them last year, I must expect that every game we're going to lose to them? No. I trust that our team this time is going to be better, more mature. You know, for example, I know it wasn't Dan James' fault, but Dan James scores that goal and runs to the touchline and celebrates because he's equalised. That's not going to happen. I'm not saying that's the reason we lost, but I think we're just more mature. Everyone's just more mature than we were last year, and we've got an addition in Van der Beek, and we improved from the start of last season to the end of last season. So we're a better team now when we're playing Palace than we were last season when we played Palace. Hala Madrid says AWB will handle Zaha. I trust AWB to handle most wingers. He's come up against Sterling a number of times, and he's generally dealt with him more often than not. And most wingers he's dealt with. You know, as I said, again, back end of the season, he was looking a bit tired, as were a lot of other players. So you just hope that the rest that they've been given will be enough. That's all we really can hope for. What I'm going to do is going to go up to put my team that I think we are going to play next in the first game. Give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, I hope you can see that good. Let's see if I can make that a bit bigger. Starting with the goalkeeper. Now, of course, we know that Dean Henderson has come into Man United squad this year. We've given him a new contract. I think he's on about 125. He's about 125,000 a week. We know the hair's on about 350. So Solskjaer's got a choice to make. He's got a choice to make throughout the season, from the start of the season, who is going to be his first choice goalkeeper. Now, for me, I'm going to go with David De Gea. I think David De Gea has to be given the start of the season. He's been shaky for 2 years. Since the World Cup, he's been shaky. World Cup 2018, he's had a poor 2 years. Before that, best keeper in the world. Since that, poor. And because he was right up there and he's gone right down there, it looks like he's even gone further. He's still one of the best keepers in the league. As a matter of fact, he's the second best keeper in the league. That's the thing. He was that good before. He's actually still the second best keeper in the league behind Alisson. Because we're talking about mistakes. Ederson makes mistakes, plenty of mistakes. So for me, I'm going to stick with De Gea. Now, of course, if David De Gea ends up making so many mistakes like he was in last season before, then we've got a backup. We have got Dean Henderson to come in and say, well, David De Gea, you've been given your chance over and over again. We started the season with you and you messed up again. It's time for you to take a back seat, and maybe he has to move on. But I'm starting the season with David De Gea. On the right-hand side, of course, Wan-Bissaka, I think that is a given. There's been... All right, why is Wan-Bissaka not coming up? Try that again. There's been talk about... I don't think they want to get me to find Wan-Bissaka. Oh, there we go. Oh, because it's Astro. It's got a hyphen in his name, of course. They've been talking about Dalot, and there was talk that Dalot may be moving on. I believe it was maybe selling Dalot. There was talk about Wolves. I think there was talk about Barcelona as well, and people were losing their minds. Oh, how are we gonna get rid of Dalot? This is Brexit FC. Blah blah blah. What's Dalot done? What's Dalot really done to cause that much panic among Man United fans that we might be getting rid of him. For me, I trust Solskjaer when it comes to decisions on players. He hasn't made a mistake yet in terms of getting rid of or bringing in players. He has not made a mistake. So if he thinks Dalot doesn't fit his team makeup and strategy, etc., and I haven't seen anything from Dalot to say, yeah, he is the answer, then who am I to trust, to not put the faith in Solskjaer when he's only proved correct? All his signings have been successful. Whether you think Maguire's worth 80 million or not is neither here nor there. Solskjaer is not managing the money and the negotiations. Maguire has improved our defence. Wan-Bissaka has improved our defence. Bruno has improved our attack. Dan James is a good squad player. Unfortunately, because we didn't have other strength in depth, he had to play much more. He's brought through Greenwood. Martial and Rashford have had their best seasons. Pogba is committed to stay. He knows how to manage players. So if he says Dalot is not the right fit, Lukaku's gone, Sancho's gone, Fellaini's gone, Young's gone, I'm going to trust Solskjaer. So Wan-Bissaka in. We brought up Ethan Laird, who's in and around the first team. So he's an option. Brandon Williams is actually a right back in all intents and purposes. He's now playing at left back. So we've got a number of backup in that area. Left back, I'm going Luke Shaw. I'm not Luke Shaw's biggest fan. I was Luke Shaw's biggest fan, but he's a player who hasn't improved. Really and truly, he hasn't really improved since he come to Man United. Due to injuries more than anything. Defensively, he's pretty good. Going forward, he's average at best. And I think in this day and age, when you're expecting much more from your fullbacks, especially going forward, and you've got such a defensive fullback in Wan-Bissaka, you want your left back to be a bit more progressive. And that's why I think, we were willing to go for a regular and why we've been linked to someone like Telles. But Luke Shaw's more than competent in that position. He just needs to stay fit. If he can stay fit all season, then it's cool. Well, I'm going in depth now because it's the first game of the season. Once the season goes on a bit more, then I'll just be picking the lineup as it is. We don't have to go in depth player by player. Centre backs. Now, okay, me personally, I would like to see Bailly and Maguire. So I'm going to put Bailly there. Now, I don't believe Bailly is going to start. I believe it's going to be Lindelof because Lindelof and Maguire is his chosen partnership. However, I do believe his preferred partnership is actually Axel Tuanzebe. Tuanzebe and Maguire, I think, is his chosen partnership. But I don't know. I don't think Tuanzebe is actually fit. Or definitely not matched for anyway. Bailly, I think he's fit. He just can't stay fit. So I think he will go with Lindelof. But this is my preferred lineup for Saturday's match. It's all Mad J. Is Shaw even fit? Yes. In the press conference today, he said Pogba and Shaw are both available for selection. So yeah, he's fit. I know he missed the end of the season through injury, but he's fit and raring to go. We've got these as CDMs. I guess they're two pivots in the central midfield. On the right, I'm going Pogba, and I hope that Pogba will push on a bit more as opposed to playing very deep. And I will go with Matic. Now, I will go with Matic for this game. In future games, especially against the likes of Crystal Palace, I would like to see Pogba, Van de Beek and Bruno. But I think just for the first game, I'm not sure if we need to go hell for leather, gung-ho straight away. Because I think that midfield three would be gung-ho. I would have Pogba and Bruno as the central midfielders and Van de Beek as the number 10. But I think for the first game, I would like to bring Van de Beek off the bench as opposed to, especially if you need to change the game. You can take off Matic and bring on Van de Beek to go and win the game. If you're the other way around, if you're winning the game and you want to solidify it, if you can take off one of those three midfielders and bring on a Matic. But in this game, I would start with Matic. He had a good end to the season. I think he deserves to keep his place until proved otherwise. Bruno Fernandes picks himself for me. But of course, as I said, Van de Beek is very, very versatile. Very versatile. He can play in the number 6, he can play as an 8, and he can play as a 10. So Matic, Pogba, and Bruno, none of their spaces are safe, and that is what I like. On the right, you have to go with Mason Greenwood. I mean, ideally, I will go with not Mason Mount, Mason Greenwood. Ideally, I would love to go with Jadon Sancho, but unfortunately, he is not here yet. And Marcus Rashford picks himself on the left-hand side with Anthony Martial as the striker. So that's my team. That is my team for Saturday, 5:30 kickoff. Is that better? That's better. Hope you can see that. David De Gea, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Eric Bailly, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, that's the back four plus a keeper. Pogba, Matic in the midfield. Bruno Fernandes behind in number 10. Greenwood on the right, Rashford on the left, Martial as the striker. And I back the team. I back the team to get a comfortable win. I'm going 3-0. I'm going 3-0. Get a clean sheet. Good start to the season. Show that the end of last season wasn't a blip. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't luck. It is the trajectory that Manchester United are going on and will be going on under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We can get some more signings, at least one more signing this window. I think we can really solidify our place in the top four. That shouldn't even be a question for a club of our stature, our size, and push on to do better in the cup competition. We reached 3 semi-finals last year, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and Europa League. We need to go at least one better by reaching the finals, if not going all the way and winning at least one of those competitions. We know we're not in the Europa League, we're in the Champions League, so we want a good showing in that as well. Finally, question from Rodney. What do you think about Watford picking up James Garner? I'm happy about that. I'm happy about that. Not specific for James Garner. Yes, I'm happy for him. But in terms of how we are trying to develop the youth. In the past, in the last 7 years, we've had a lot of young players who have just been here. We've tried them under, LVG, for example, and we played them a few games, Tyler Blackett, Cameron Borthwick, John Jackson, and they don't really work out. You don't really hear about them again. You look at, a Chelsea, for example, who are loaning out their young players, getting experience, and they either good enough to come back in to your team, or they raise their value and you can sell them on for a good profit to then reinvest that into your first team. We let some of our young players, if they're not good enough to go into the first team, we want to keep them playing at the reserve level, like we did, 20 years ago. And they're not getting any exposure and raising their value, and you end up just letting them go, for free. Their contracts expiring, etc. I want to see how good these boys are really out there. We've seen Axel Tanzebi did a good job at Aston Villa, and then you say, all right, cool, you can come into the first team. We sent out Taif Chong on loan. He started well over at Werder Bremen. I want to see him come back if he has a good time out there and play in the first team. And hopefully James Garner can do the same. And if they're not, at least we can get a good price for them in the market to then invest into the first 11. Rodney says, Martial will probably play my FPL, so I'm hoping he shows up like you've been saying he will this season. Yes, listen, for me, I said, I think he's going to be our best player this season, our most important player this season. I'm backing him for the Golden Boot, and I've also brought him into my fantasy football team, so I need that as well. I've made a couple of changes this week with obviously Man United and Man City both coming in. I'm not saying everything I'm doing, but I brought in Martial. I'm not putting him as captain at the moment, but at some point I might. Once he gets going, I'll see how he performs against Crystal Palace. But I'm expecting a big season from him. And I think a lot of the doubters, some who might be in the comments now, naming non-names, some of them ex-Man United players, legends, and just general media, I think a lot of them are going to be pleasantly shocked. I say pleasantly shocked, they might be disappointed actually, but they're going to be shocked. They're going to have to really put some respect on Martial by the end of the season, because it would have been, I'm predicting it will be 2 seasons in a row that he will perform goals, assists, link-up play at this level that you can't doubt how good he is at the end of the season. But of course, one game at a time. Man United versus Crystal Palace, 5:30 on Saturday. Come on, boys. Come on. That's it, guys. Hit the like button.